great deal of information that was given, downloaded, and even before I hit record, there's another round of downloads. I am giving a topic that I wanted to reiterate when it comes to the phrase. Actually, let's see if there is support for that. Get this down. I'll trim what needs to be trimmed if that's the case also. The biblical concept of sins of the father refers to a generational consequence rather than inherited guilt. Exodus 25 through 6. God visits iniquity upon children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate him. This signifies the long-lasting impact of dysfunction and sinful habits on family lines rather than punishing children for their parents' direct actions. Alright, so generational consequences are patterns that fall from one generation to the other, and this is a key example. My life has revealed exactly that. The movie Claudine shed some light on the inner workings that our community used for survival, and this survival mechanism was being used by my grandmother. So each child represented income, and it was my birth that caused my mom to go and get these things for herself, which, as they say in the hood, messed my grandmother's money up. And this young daughter had this child who was unusual, and he talked, he played a lot. My grandmother is here with me as a goon because she was elevated, which meant that I skipped her consequence of not healing what she went into death carrying. And I say this because my family is being bombarded with energy that they don't understand, and rather than seek counsel, they just ran with it. And since the positioning of humanity our souls are being subjected to dark forces, and these dark forces are able to penetrate what's floated. I like to call it floated because ideas float in. And it's up to us to discern whether or not we want to follow through with the ideas that are true to us, or the ones that are coming in that are, they just feel like something I want to do, but I don't want to do it. And so if you are addicted to dopamine, then you are more inclined to do this. But if you are regulating your brain activity, you are minimizing your distractions, your numbing, your just have to have it mentalities, and you take away the landing plane for the spirits to anchor certain things to you. Now, this is a huge crack. It's generational. My grandmother had 7 kids, and each kid has kids. So that means they all receive a mentality that she did not like me when she died. And I showed up. I even fought with my uncle over her. The first time that I had to do that, and I didn't fight with him, but I wanted to. And I gave him a pass, and he reminded me of the pass that I gave him. Because habits are habits. It was enough to ruin relationships in the family. And it did ruin relationships in the family. And the energetic that everyone already had was pretty low. So all this to say, my example is just my family, but there are those of us who have family members who are leaving the earth and have left the earth, and they are carrying anger and resentment towards people in the family, and those memories are passed on into the energetic from the emotional body and sprinkled amongst the Akashic field, and recipients of this DNA get this gift, as they call it. And it is a gift, because if you unlock it, there is something on the other side of it. And I know that doesn't sound like the gift that you want, but shoot. I have gifts from unlocking things from people in our ancestral bloodline, which means if you're in my ancestral bloodline, there is an arsenal of gifts my grandmother on my father's side performed the ritual that protected me and inducted me into a society that's within my blood, Ajay society. And as I went through and venerated ancestors in the Ajay society, not understanding the full extent of that or the true history, but there was something that was tugging at me, and that thing was the Loa. The Loa is a blood gift. It's a gift. Whether you want to look at it as a consequence or not, it is a gift because you can't just get it. You have to be given it. And I was given it as a ancestral blessing. It changed the way I was viewing Covered by the Blood, because this is what that meant. And I did talk to Yeshua about that, and the bloodline is covering you. And he showed me a picture of how I was thinking and how it should spread. So first started off with a little concentration in center of Yoruba land in the Vodun kingdom that was ran by Shango. In a past life, Shango was my granduncle. I don't think that's correct. Shango was my brother. Yeah. Shango was my Arcturian brother. And I was the soul, the heart of Adapa. So when I look at the blood connection, I see how certain traits were passed on. We still have we had a curse of Cain and Abel on our bloodline. And this was a serious topic because I saw it clearly and I said, hold up. Yeshua, King David, would you, can you help me with this understanding? And he said, I came to slay Goliath and show that it was done. And that was a task that lives on. When he got up from that, he went and played the harp in the palace. And the rest is scripture. I was like, when did you save humanity from their sins? And he said, that was not me. That was you. And then I thought back to 2022. When I first started this journey, this spiritual awakening, and I was feeling like some of the stuff that was floating through wasn't mine. I was like, I've never had a problem with that. What the hell? Why am I transmuting all of this? So I was alone transmuting collective consciousness. And I got a lot of opportunities to work on emotional intelligence with that exercise. So it was it's like boot camp. And I wish there were more people willing at the time, but it just and then I met a teacher in the tradition that I was initiated into for protection. And she told me a story of how she prayed to KämDäm'Blā to help her take care of her child because she didn't feel like she had it in her. And that story didn't mean much at the time, but it helped me understand an aspect of her. We're not meant to be perfect, and sometimes we have to call on God. And we never know what God is doing in the background. And this was an example of that. This tradition that our planet had, Ifa, that predates to my first incarnation, was the religion given by Anu. And Anu is, for those who don't know, Anu is Sky Daddy. He is or might still be, I don't know, I didn't ask, but he was the priest king of the planet. And when you are a Christ, you are a vessel for God. So we call him Sky Daddy, like you call Jesus Sky Daddy. But Jesus received his honorary anointing by stealing a resume that wasn't his. And these discrepancies leave people challenged throughout the world. Yeshua wasn't a Jew. He wasn't on that side of the planet. To be a part of the army that stole the Ark of the Covenant from Egypt. In fact, because I just double checked, the hidden part of the Mahabharata, that oral tradition, was the breaking of the continent, creating South America, which was North Egypt. The island of Adapa's burial floated in between the two continents. Shango called on the spirit of the Loa, on Ifa, to change the logos. And he broke the world. It's not talked about. There was a silent campaign to eliminate all of those descendants, not realizing that the Yoruba population has access to it. So that means everyone who was shipped across the water was a carrier of this ancestral gift. And then the only group of people on the planet who didn't have it, because they weren't in the same they weren't on the same continent. Wow. I'm from the Cherokee and Muskogee Nation, the descendants of the Almacs. Because when Shango got religion, he sent the Israelites home. And that's when South America bumped into Turtle Island. The Red Sea was born. It was the Panama Canal that hadn't been dug out, so people were dying trying to cross through there. And it was a stretch of red water because it was fucking people up. So Moses Akhenaten waited for the earthquake that caused a tsunami, and he on divine timing they made it across the Red Sea after the water had receded. Science, technology. It was outlawed for a reason, because it's the connection to God that our ancestors knew all too well. And in order to enslave a world, you have to get rid of their power. That was the goal. I have Aryan blood in me, and they talk when they get here, you know. The ego has a story, and it tells a story. Only we get to see the whole thing that was recorded, because the body is recording the whole time. It's like having body cam on. So if eyes are watching, God's watching. So that is why I employed the newly elevated ancestors of the planet. I didn't know venerating my bloodline would be venerating the entire planet. Doing the thing that Jesus was responsible for. I'm not him. In the story, they wanted to get rid of him. like he couldn't make this world a better place. There's abundance in the universe. The Aryan race are draconian starseeds. They travel to this big watery giant, and they survived, and they eventually moved to the moon. At the time, it was Lamu. They got it out the mud. And they got themselves into an environment that was safe. They didn't have to deal with the dinosaurs. They didn't have to deal with the amount of water and the tides that this universe was presenting. See, they came here and a lot of the universal law was perfect. So with the moon controlling the tides, they must have thought, let's control the moon. Because this is what they've been doing. They have been controlling a lot of the things of science that has been helping to keep the population stuck. I became a hacker to be a white hat, which was someone that protected networks by penetration testing them. And I penetration tested my network. I didn't think much of it to report it as a thing that I did for the company, but I wanted to make sure that I was keeping out hackers. There was a database that was everything for this company. It was a lineage. It was a legacy. And this database was, I went above and beyond for this company. I dragged them. From an archaic system into a functional place where money wasn't wasted. Money that I never saw. And I learned so many things there that I was more than capable of getting it elsewhere. The penetration testing that I did was never placed on my resume. I thought that I had to be a pen tester in order to claim that I did that. So I went to look at the certification, and I saw the requirements for 24 hours, and that was like, what? I thought I quit. I said, all right, I can't, I'm not doing this. But God had a different plan for that curriculum and me. And so I never told the world that I found a third-party penetration testing website and got a report from it. Got a report from Microsoft it triggered a Microsoft audit, and Microsoft audit is bad thing to the world of IT, but I had all of the information in front of me that I needed, so I wasn't worried. So I handled the audit, and we wound up getting reimbursed for extra licenses that we had purchased to quadruple cover the stuff that was being upgraded. And we were able to get rid of the ones that we didn't need and save even more money. So, we're talking about $500K in maintenance dropped to $26,000 on a reoccurring subscription. I was in a return on ROI. I already knew how to build networks. I learned telecom here. I learned back office setup. I used this penetration test to fix a few things. Something inside of me had a bright idea to use it for me. Use it on me. And so it was done. I hacked me, which was hacking the matrix. I was already a little neurodivergent, which meant that my aspects of myself were fighting one another, and they needed a leader. The only way the ego gets in check is if you appoint it a leader. What was leading for me most of my life was my heart. And I didn't know it. People around me knew it. And they saw it. first started this work, I labeled it hopeful romantic. Because I needed to redefine my life. Because there were a lot of places where I was not celebrated. And I had to shrink myself to have a good time. And I'm tired of shrinking. God said he's tired of me shrinking. I should. In fact, there was a warning: get used to taking up space, because when Yeba came, and he brought his presence in me. It brought me a new ego. Shit, to say the least. A bigger one, more expansive one. But he allows the heart to lead. He wants to get shit done. He wants to I've never experienced anything like this in my life. And talking about it, somehow sharing it, has been interesting. That's what these videos have been, me talking, telling stories, reconnecting history, reconnecting the universe to our bloodline. It's still out there, which means a lot. Yeah, we are starborn, all of us. All of us have an origin story that's starborn. Some tribes are a little late to the party, but they're here. They're citizens of the planet. We don't uproot, kidnap citizens of the planet, take them to another land and strand them there and leave them. Shango did that, and he corrected it. He did that. So we're not looking at anything new. Only this isn't brother against brother. This war is ancient. These are star system against star system battles. Lyran, Draconian. These are the original root races of creation. There are a lot of stories that need to be told, that want to be told, and I'd like to get to a quiet place where I can remind everyone God is God, and we are a manifestation of this supreme monad, this quantum field, this field of possibility that is mind. Hermetic law calls it the all. Because all things are living, animate, inanimate, because of it. There's nothing in creation that doesn't have an Ori. An Ori is a Christ, Adam seed. There's nothing in creation that doesn't belong to Source. We are Sorcerer Supreme in the Avengers movie when they were going back in time to get the Infinity Stones to make a gauntlet to bring everyone back. Because Thanos had snapped. Oh my goodness. That is funny to my Thanos had snapped. With great power comes great responsibility. And when we know more, when we know more, when we know better, we do better. That's the only thing that we can ask for. We're not zero to a utopia. We are mental health nightmares. Because we are below board. We are going through a transition as spirits. Our souls are trapped unless we can upgrade the frequency. That's what hacking the Matrix did. It allowed me to upgrade the frequency on my body. It's something that was being worked on before all of this planetary sorcery was initiated by the Aryans. They wanted control, but they didn't observe law. So they suffered tremendously for it. And then they got with the program and they made the program theirs. Got rid of traces of the program. So it's nefarious, but they have a driving force in their DNA that's saying that this place that they destroyed and was remade and given to another because they mishandled it. They still think that it's theirs. God will fix things. But you have to ascend to get it. And if you're not trying to ascend, then you're just warring with God. That puts you in the darkest of dark places. That's the astral plane without the underworld. The underworld is a magical pocket of prison. It's keeping you in and those guys out. You guys are in general population and surrounded by souls who different parts of the nebula fucked around and found out. That's why they get the whisper and seep into the cracks. As long as we have this ripple in time that gives us time, they get to exist. can never ascend past the sixth dimension to get back home. So those who, when given the opportunity, switch sides. I like to call it the story of the Autobots and Decepticons. Where Decepticons switched sides and became Autobots and yada yada yada. And we are meant to be Transformers. Robots in disguise. Wow. Childhood come racing forward just like that. Transformers. We are here looking for the Allspark. We found it within. The only question now is, who's trying to get out of the underworld?